Good evening. 10 years after the Ronan Point disaster, we look at the thousands of tower block tenants who could be living with a time bomb. The woman who could bring London's hospitals to a standstill. Frankie Howerd tells us what made Galton and Simpson top comedy writers, and the mayor of Slough in his bath. Today came the sad news that perhaps the most creative comedy writing team in television has split. Galton and Simpson, for so long a byword in all that's best in British humour, leave behind them a who's who of laugh makers. From the early days of Hancock, they paved the way for such comedians as Sid James, Arthur Lowe, Roy Kinnear and Leonard Rossiter to become household names, gracing on their way the hilarious lives of STEPTOE and Son. Well, Frankie, they also wrote for you, didn't they?
Yes, well, Alan and Ray, of course, were, I suppose, two of my oldest friends in show business. They wrote for me, first of all, on the radio in 1952. We were all tiny tots then, of course, especially me. And they used to write, they wrote for me, the Frankie Howerd show in 1953. Before then, I suppose I was almost one of the first people they ever wrote for. And after that, they went on to write for Tony Hancock, and they wrote for me again on the television. I did some television series for the RTBC and also for the opposition, some spectaculars, and a film, and a stage play, and all sorts of things. So I suppose, in a way, I can say they've probably written for me, not more, but over a longer period than anybody else. And I've seen them grow up. Well, I've seen myself grow too.
They haven't grown at all.
No, not so bad.
Well, what sort of men are they? You say they're friends as well as writers.
Oh, very. What? Oh, yes, we've been friendly. Very, very friendly, yes. What are they like?
Are they funny?
Well... funny. No, they're very shy. They can be funny, but they're mostly shy. I don't find, generally speaking, funny men who are writing funny stuff or being funny for a living are necessarily that way off stage. They're very talented, of course, obviously. Don't need to tell you that. They write not, I would say, funny lines so much as psychological humour about human relationships, sad and happy, and the conflicts of people. They had, I must say, a most curious way of writing, because I've known them for many years, and they have an office, or they had an office when I used to go and see them practically almost every day. And Alan, which was the plumper one, that's like me, used to lay on the floor all the time, see, like that. And there would be Ray at the desk with a blank sheet of paper. Nothing on the paper at all. So I'd come back 20 minutes later. Nothing. And then 20 minutes later, one line would appear. And they were this really terribly, very slow, methodical writers. And then miraculously, these scripts would appear. But they were, I mean, I've known a lot of writers who can, Eric Sykes, for instance, is a very quick writer. It's all written very quickly. But not they. They were very slow. But the results were marvellous, of course.
Well, what do you feel made...
They're both very shy. See, Ray is an extrovert. He likes to dress flashily. But in a studio, he was the one who would hide behind the scenery during the show. Where Alan used to love to go out before the show and entertain the audience. It's very... and yet in private life, they were the reverse.
Well, what do you feel made them so special? What was the winning formula?
Well, they were talented for a start. I often thought, I hope that, well, I know Ray might be listening. I don't think Alan will, because he's in France. But I often thought they wrote for each other in a way. STEPTOE and Son, Tony Hancock and Sid James. I often felt that, I'm not saying they were like that, but they often had some instinct for relationships. They wrote for me a great deal, and I used to keep very much, people thought I had libbed, but I used to keep very much word for word what they wrote, because they wrote very methodically.
Right.
Like Harold Pinter does, very methodically.
They'll obviously be missed. Frankie Howerd,
sure.
Thank you very much.
By me, because they're going to...
Don't!
No, all right.
Stop!